Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Ms. Shank, coming to you live from Alameda International High School. And in this video, we're going to be still working with some systems of equations. We're going to do a little bit of review, and we're going to see how we can solve those systems by substitution and what that means. So before, we had been graphing on the coordinate plane and kind of seeing where they intersect. But now we're going to say, okay, if we're given a couple equations, what can we do? So some quick review for you. It says a system is a set of two or more, and we have linear equations. And that's what we have been working with, I should say, for a while now. And we'll say that they usually are in the form y equals mx plus b, where we say m is the slope and b is that y-intercept. So again, make sure you're remembering those 2 points. And then we're gonna say this. We're gonna say, okay, we've been graphing them on the same coordinate plane to find a solution. That's where they cross. However, we're gonna solve these equations by substitution. And what that kind of means is we're gonna replace, and you'll see what that means, or replacement, we'll say. Again, remember, a solution is an ordered pair. I think a lot of people are struggling with this because they're not understanding what that means, and that's in the form of an x value and a y value. So you need both of these to have an ordered pair, and that's where both of these equations are equal. So it says in example 1, solve these equations and write the solution point. So it's going to kind of be the directions for each of these. And what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to say, okay, well, I have two equations, y equals x minus 3 and y equals 2x. And I'm trying to figure out where those are equal. And what I can do is this. I can take, and I can, since they're both in this form of y equals mx plus b, I can plug in this value. So I can say this. I can say, well, let's take and say, I can take this value of 2x. I can say, hey, it's saying y equals 2x. And so what I can do is I can plug it into that first equation. So I can have this. I'm going to rewrite my equation. I have 2x is equal to x minus 3. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm trying to figure out what one of these values is of my order pair x and y. And in order to do that, I need to replace one equation with the other. And so what I do is this. I say, all right, now I have multi-step equation. I can subtract x from both sides. And so I just have 1x is equal to, and I have a negative 3. So again, make sure you can review your solving multi-step equation values for yourself. And then we can say this, well, now I need to find what my y value is. So I take this value of x and I plug it into my original equation. And so I can say, all right, I can choose either of these. Honestly, it doesn't matter. But what you can do is this. I can say, all right, well, let's actually do that 2x. So I have y equals, and then I have 2 times my x value, which I said is negative 3. And so I can find out what my y value is. So I'm going to say y equals, well, what's 2 times 3? That's 6. And then since I have different signs, I'm going to say negative 6. So that means my order pair, again, make sure you make an order pair. It's going to be my solution is going to be at the point. I can say, let's have negative 3 and negative 6. So that means, if we were to graph these out, they have a cross at this point of negative 3, negative 6. That's saying that these two equations are equal at this point. So again, make sure you're seeing those steps, replace one equation with the other, and then solve. So again, for your turn, pause that video, make sure you can try it out for yourself. So pause, try it out, and check with me. Okay, so again, try it out, solve that system of equations, write that solution point, substitute those values in for those variables. Moving on. underneath of it, a little bit more complicated, but that's okay. We can still see how this works. So we're going to say y equals, in one equation, y equals 3x plus 8, and then we have a little bit of a different form, but that's okay. We can still, set it up very easily. We have 8x plus 4y is equal to 12. I'm going to still make sure I'm saying, okay, I can plug this value in for y into my other equation. So I'm going to rewrite it. So make sure you're doing this. So I'm doing plug into other equation. So I'm taking my y value and I'm replacing it with 3x plus 8. So I have 8x plus, make sure you include that 4. So I have 4 and in parentheses times all this. So I have 3x plus 8 equals 12. And on this step right here, make sure you can kind of review that distributive property. If you need to, we're going to have other videos on that, but just make sure you're saying, okay, all I'm doing is I'm taking the outside value and I'm multiplying it times each of the terms inside the parentheses, excuse me. So I'd say 4 is on the outside, and I have 3x, and I have a plus 8. So I do this. I do 4 times 3x is 12x, and then I have 4 times 8 is 32, so positive 32. And what I can do is I can write those products underneath. So I have 8x plus 12x plus 32 is equal to 12. Now we can combine those like terms. So I have to combine the variable terms that are in common. So I have 20x plus 32 equals 12. Make sure you can get those constant terms onto one side. So I have minus 32 to both sides. And so then I'm going to have 20x is equal to negative 20. And so that just means I have my x value is going to be negative 1. Now we take that x value and I can let me actually draw a nice little star for us. I'm going to say this. I'm going to take this value, this x value, I'm going to put it back into that equation that I used at the top. The reason why I'm doing this is because I need to find what my y value is. So I'm going to take, I'm going to say on the side here, I can say, let's have y equals, and then I have 3 times a negative 1 plus 8. So you're going to make sure you kind of take it one step at a time. 3 times negative 1, negative 3 plus 8 is going to be a positive 5, and so we're going to say our y value is positive 5. And so that just means this. I use those 2 points, or excuse me, those 2 values to have a solution point. So again, make sure you have a solution at, and I say negative 1 for my x value, and my y value is positive 5. So again, all you had to do, replace one equation into the other, simplify and solve for one of those variables, and then once you get that value, substitute back into that equation, and you'll have your y value. Once you have an x and a y value, you have your ordered pair. So again, same kind of thing. Pause the video for your turn number 2. Check with me once you get your solution point. So again, make sure you pause. That way you can double check with me. So now on the back, make sure you put your name. Again, this is kind of where we pick up the assignment. So this is kind of just more practice. So again, make sure you can kind of see how that works. Take your value. It gives you your x value, and so that just means, hey, I can just solve for my x value here. So I'm going to say 6 is going to be equal to x plus 5. Again, subtract 5 from both sides, and you'll say 1 is equal to x, and so that just means you have a solution at, what's my x value? 1, and my y value is 6. So I have that ordered pair of 1, 6. Same kind of setup for the second one. Take your y value, plug it into the other equation, and solve for x. So I'm going to say I have negative 18 is equal to x plus 12. So again, all we're doing is we're saying, okay, since I have two variables in this equation, I need to solve for one, and then that way I can have both values. So now I can say, all right, this is going to be minus 12 to both sides. Again, use that Desmos calculator if you're struggling with those negative numbers. So I'm going to say this is going to be negative 30 is equal to x. And so I'm going to say my solution is at, I have can make sure you're having that x value first. I have negative 30, and my y value is negative 18. Moving on to the next one. So again, take one value, replace it with into the other equation, simplify, get your ordered pair. So now for the number 3, I have my y value is negative 12, and so I'm going to place that into that first equation. So I have negative 12 is equal to x minus 10. Make sure you're doing those inverse operations to get that variable by itself. And so I have, this is negative 2, and then I'm going to say is equal to x. So I have my solution point. Again, these are real simple, so again, make sure you're taking your time on them. So I have x value first, and then my y value is negative 12. All right. For number 4, what I can do is this. I can take and I can replace, I'm going to take that 2x, I'm going to place it into that first equation. So I'm going to say 2x is equal to x plus 15. Make sure you can subtract or get rid of the lowest coefficient. So I'm saying, hey, this is basically just 1x, and so I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides of the equation. So on my left side I have just x, and on my right side I have 15. Then I can take that 15, plug it into my first equation. I'm going to say y equals 2 times 15, which is just 30. And so now I can have my ordered pair. So I say my solution is at, let's say the point, x is 15 and y is 30. And for the bottom two, I'll make sure it's on there. For those bottom two, again, all you're doing is replacing one with the other. So again, make sure you can take and say, all right, I have this 2x minus 3. I'm going to take and I'm going to plug it into that value of y. So I just have x plus, and then I have this term, or excuse me, this expression, 2x minus 3. Again, notice how I don't have any parentheses there because it's only being multiplied by 1, so I don't need to rewrite anything. So then I have equals and then 18. So again, make sure you're saying, you have one equation, this is equation A and equation B. I'm taking my right side of equation A and I'm plugging it into the equation B. I am replacing the y value in that equation B. So now I can say, all right, I have combined like terms. So I have 1x plus 2x is 3x minus 3 equals 18. Get those constants on one side. These cancel out, so I have 3x equals 21. Divide both sides by that coefficient, and so I have x equals 7. Almost done. Take that x value, plug it into your equation B. So I have this. I have 7 plus y equals 18. Again, I use that one value in my, let's say in my equation B. So I can say it. That means to subtract 7 from both sides, and I get y equals 11. Again, you can also do it with the other equation. I would have this. I would have 2 times 7 is 14, minus 3 is 11. So either way it works. Just make sure you label that solution point, meaning an ordered pair. So I have to have 7, 11, open 24/7. Okay, Last one, everybody freaks out about a fraction. I see them as my friends, to each their own, so that's okay. Make sure you can say, all right, let's take one equation, that 1/4 times x. I'm going to replace that. I'm going to plug it into my second equation in for y. So I'm going to say this. I have x plus, and then I have 4 times this equation. So 1/4 x. And if you are practicing your equations, or excuse me, your fractions, make sure you can multiply those numerators carefully. So I have 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4, and then 4 divided by 4 is just 1. So this is just x plus x equals, I forgot this part too, sorry, equals 8. That just means 2x equals 8. Divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 4. Again, make sure you're seeing how I'm doing those steps. Again, review for yourself. Again, those solving multi-step equations. So again, if you're having trouble with those multi-step equations, make sure you can go back, review those videos from before. So once I have that value, I can plug it in to your equations. I can say, take and plug it into that first one. So I'm going to say, let's break it apart. I have y equals 1/4 times 4, because I replaced that x value with a 4. And so that just means this. That just means I'm going to have y equals 1, since 1/4 of 4 is 1, and that just means I have a solution at the point of 4, 1. So always have that ordered pair at the end. It has to be an x and a y value. So again, make sure you can pause, rewind for yourself. If you're still listening, you do not have to write this. So again, if you're listening, you don't have to write this. I'm gonna see if people are paying attention. So if you're not listening, you don't have to write this. So again, if you are listening, give yourself a high five. Again, you don't have to write that. Otherwise, super slam that subscribe button for yourself.